Okay.
Hello, or should I say, hola. I know this is not Cinco de Mayo, but it's close enough. As you can tell by my shirt, we can forecast 100% chance of tacos. It's a JCPenney special right there. We're doing tacos, and again, we're emphasizing use what you have. Don't go out and buy stuff if you don't need to. I'll do a little something extra special this week where I teach you how to make tortillas from scratch, because I bet you have a lot of flour. And as ashamed as I am to say this, I mean, we're just using these tonight. Would I typically use tortillas that are smaller for my preference? Yeah, because I like that more kind of street taco with, it's a little bit smaller, just easier to eat. Rule number one of tacos. You what?
You can eat more of them and not feel guilty.
You can eat more of them or not feel bad, yeah. But rule number one of tacos is don't overfill them.
Hey, James and Judy Prather.
The way we're raised in the United States of America,
Hi, Judy Blue.
like you just put a ton of food in there and try to close it up. With a taco, you have to use less than you think you do to actually close the taco. We'll talk about that later. But if you see my cutting board, can they see it?
I'm working on it.
Cool. Anyway, if there is anything that you do not want to get garlic on, and this is up to you, if there's something you don't want to taste like garlic, after you prep your garlic and set it to the side, wipe that space down. Because garlic sticks pretty easily to cutting boards. That's bad. But for our potatoes that we're doing, because we're doing vegetarian tacos, because we are out of meat and we're not going to the store unless we have to, plus Ashton's vegetarian anyway. So the way we're prepping our potatoes, we're going to slice it in half.
You can see it.
And then we're going to slice it in half again, so we quartered it, right? Okay. Then, trying to keep our pieces as even as possible. Maybe these end pieces we cut a bit longer because they're not as tall. Protecting our fingers, right? I know it's ironic for me to say right now. And then trying to keep probably close to anywhere between quarter and half an inch thickness the whole way through. Keeping our knuckles against the blade. And keeping our floors dry so we don't slip and fall while we're trying to slice things. Going through, trying to keep it as even as possible. You can roast these. It's really up to you, but we're just going to fry ours. I've already got some going over here. Just going to add them in there. You can make sure there's plenty. Oh, you're going around. Make sure there's plenty of fat in there so stuff will move around. So if you need to, add some butter. In a very fashionable way with your fingers. See, these are still sticking a little bit. You're going to make sure everything is moving. And you're going to saute something. Make sure that fat gets spread around. There we go, now you can flip. Spread everything out. Hit it with a bit of salt with dry hands. Because if your hands are wet, the salt gets wet and then it just all clumps up in the same spot. Sure. Probably a little bit of pepper. And really, as long as you get everything touching metal, because it'll get brown that way and cook faster, you should be alright. If you have it, something like marjoram or a bay leaf. I like bay leaves because they're usually bigger and easier to dig out later. And don't forget, fat transfers flavor very easily, so you don't need to like grind it up or anything, because we do want to pull it out when these are done. Just adds a nice little herbaceous spiciness to it. We've got black beans going over here. In the spirit of leftovers, I've also got leftover black beans that I'm going to combine later. Whether they're from a can or dried, just read the instructions and loosely go off what they say, honestly. But yeah, just don't be expecting fresh beans, which I don't think any of us do, because most beans that are on the shelf have been there for quite a while and in a warehouse for quite a while before they got there in the first place. But that's okay, especially right now. So we've got black beans going. We've got potatoes going. If you come over here, if you want to make any sort of pico de gallo, just grab an onion. If you want to stay true to most Mexican cuisines, get a white onion. But again, you can do whatever you want, especially right now when we have to get creative. I've got some Roma tomatoes. I've got green bell pepper, which is really underrated. Everyone's like, oh, I hate bell pepper. I'm like, it's actually really good.
Hi, Katrina.
Hey, Katrina. We're going to be using some pickled radish tonight that I made really easily. Plenty of garlic. The cheese that we're going to use tonight is manchego. Use whatever you want, honestly. I have some ghost pepper sauce here because I'm going to mix it in with my sour cream so it won't be as hot, but it's still got a really good flavor. For nutrition, a little bit of spinach. I'll show you how to prep that later. And then I have this sauce I actually made it on Cinco de Mayo. And it's got a lot of cilantro in it. It's sour cream based. It's really good. And if you can buy these like 90 cents at the store, they're great for spreading your sauces really easily and saving them in the fridge. So when you make a good sauce, you can have it for a lot longer. But yeah, as far as meat goes, if you're going to have meat, again, really, honestly, use whatever you want. But it's better if it's cut into smaller strips or even maybe ground, because big chunks of meat aren't going to fit well in a taco. And I don't know where my hands are, so I'm guessing I'm in this area. But one thing I like to do is, that's really cheap and easy, is grab a piece of flank steak or some kind of top sirloin, any kind of beef, or honestly pork even, that's really thin. Go light up your grill and put that piece of meat directly on the coals. Like, just put it on there for about a solid minute and flip it for another solid minute. Throw it on some aluminum foil, wrap it up really tight in the aluminum foil, and let it sit for about 15 minutes. Undo your aluminum foil, and this is really with about any meat, especially a thin cut of meat. And then you just slice it into thin little strips, and you've got taco meat that's really good. Hit it with like a little bit of lime or a little bit of orange or something, and it's incredible. And really simple. Maybe a bit of salt and pepper, and you're done. But yeah, we have some more green onion from our garden right here. Because we're going to do more of a savory taco tonight. So we're actually not going to make fresh pico de gallo. I'm actually going to kind of put it in the pan and cook it down a bit. And to bring some of that brightness back, we're going to use some green onion and some of this pickled radish, because we don't have any limes left, and we don't have any lemons. So to add a bit of acid and a bit of tang, and to cut through all that fat and all that savoriness, we're using a bit of pickled radish and this green onion. So yeah. Plus, the way I'm going to show you how to prep this spinach is a great way to sneak nutrients into your child or your husband's diet. But anyway.
Gene wants to know how Frank is.
Frank is good. I forgot to draw him back on today, so he's a bit faded. But he's fine. I'm getting my stitches out tomorrow. It's all good. But yeah. And since we're not going to need a lot of pico, which you can't really call it that because it's going to be cooked, but whatever. We have half an onion left over, and in the spirit of leftovers, we're using that half of an onion. We're not going to break open a whole new onion for this. Again, I would recommend white onion, but if that's not what you have, use yellow, use red, use a Vidalia, whatever. Use what you have. Get creative.
Tacos don't require a recipe.
But basically, any taco is just tortilla, some sort of filling, and then some sort of acid or tanginess over the top of it. And cheese is optional depending on what you like. And really, honestly, most cooking is just what you like. So if you like it, make it the way you like it. For instance, I made a dish one time for a kid whose last name may or not be Williams and first name may or may not be Natalie. It was mac and cheese. The way I made it for her, she hated it. But her parents loved it. Because I put a bunch of garlic and salt and pepper and butter in there. She's like, that's nasty. So cook it the way that you like it. And you know what you like. So do that. You know, these aren't rules. They're guidelines. They're just guidelines. But anyway. After we get this onion done, our potatoes looking ready for a flip. I'll do it. Thank you, though.
I'm gonna do it.
No. Alright. Onion is good enough for what we're doing. Good. There you go.
I forgot. Sorry, internet.
Well, anyway, whenever you're going to saute something, always make sure it still moves and that nothing sticks. So one hand, aim it down, angle it down, and you're going to flick the wrist up as you go forward. And yeah, boom. So it disperses stuff a lot quicker than trying to flip everything at once. And if you're cooking with a lot of fat, like I am, there's a lot of butter in here, it disperses things more evenly. But yeah. Anyway, how's our beans looking?
I needed more water.
Oh. Okay, whatever. But anyway, potatoes going. Again, rule number 1 of tacos: do not overfill your taco. So we're going to set our onions to the side over here. And now we shall do a fancy French technique called chiffonade. I think that's how they say it. Anyway, grab a few leaves, place your biggest or largest leaf on the bottom of whatever you're doing. You can really do this with about any green. I don't mind the stems in spinach. If you don't like them, cut them off. If you don't like spinach, don't use spinach. But you're just going to tightly roll it as such. And then, keeping your fingers safe, we're going to rock our knife back and forth and create these pretty little circles of greens. It works with any leafy green that you can fold. I like it. It looks fun. It's also a really good way to trick kids into eating spinach. So, that's a thing. Yeah, so we'll do just a few more of those since we lack the spinach in this household. I don't know how weird this is, but I like to eat spinach, carrots, and broccoli raw. I don't cook them at all. I'll eat them by themselves. I don't know how weird that is, but it just tastes really good. I like the crunch of it all together. I'm sorry if that's weird. But anyway. So you can roll it as tightly as you can, just like a sleeping bag. We'll do one more of those. Don't do too many leaves at once, or else it won't really work. So you just have to do it enough to understand it, but it's usually 4 to 5 leaves. Again, put the largest one on bottom and roll it tightly. Use them fingertips. And boom. That's all finished. We have our spinach. Our onions already over here and chopped up and cleaned. Wash your knife off like a decent human. Let's see, we got that, we got this, we got that. Next up is our pepper. Our potatoes are still going, they're almost done. I know that we like produce that looks like this all around, but if you have any of this happening,
get it closer.
If you have any of this stuff happening, I know we've been trained to think that like this is the only good part, but unless there's actual mold, this is perfectly fine. If you don't like it, you can just trim it off. And that's what paring knives are really good at because they're so small. If you really want, you can just get in there, make a little wedge, toss it out, and it's fine. You know, you do the same thing with potatoes, I would assume. So you can do the same thing with bananas and peppers and tomatoes and onions, especially red onions. Red onions go bad really fast. But if you don't like it, that's okay. Just trim it out, and the rest of the vegetable or fruit is still perfectly fine to eat. Yeah, see, that's fine. Here's a quick tip. If you have a knife magnet like this, can you show them the knife magnet? Good. So I arrange my knives, all the blades are facing the same way. And I put my biggest knives this way, and then my tongs are down here, and my paring knife, which is my smallest, is down here. So that way, handles are down here. I never have to grab towards a blade if you have a magnetic strip like this. And your tongs are right here, so you're never getting close to a blade. And it's just really nice. So, just a little tip. Oh, Lord, my tongs. Yeah. Anyway, if you want to cut out this centerpiece, that's fine. Get back in there with your paring knife. And just come down and cut in a circle, moving your knife up and down slowly, because you can cut through this pepper and stab yourself in the palm. That's not fun. And just turn with your left hand. Keep turning it with your left hand, or your non-knife hand if you are right-handed, until you go all the way around. It should pop out. Boom! All those seeds, that stuff can go in your compost, or wherever you put your leftover veggies. We like to compost. And so now, there's a lot of different ways to cut a pepper. I like to turn it upside down and slice down the sides, because it gives you a nice chunk like this that you can then go lengthwise like that, and then come back across the other way and cut it into very small pieces like that. Except this one, he got away. But anyway, so that's what I like to do. Just go down the side, cut straight down. Remember to wash your produce. I did that before we got on here, no worries. Not an animal. If you don't like seeds, just pick them out. Throw them in your compost. You might grow peppers on accident. That'd be great. Unless you don't like peppers. I don't know. How's that looking? Cool. But anyway, again, going into these little strips, trying to hit the same size on each one, and then coming back across, making them smaller, catching any loose ends like this one. They're all roughly the same size. Alright, just one more. Also, happy birthday, Jenna Gilmore.
16.
Sweet 16 quarantine, baby. Also, happy early birthday to Lyndon Forst. And also happy early birthday to the one, the only, Secretary of the Century, Miss Janet Walton. Hope you all have good days. I would bring you tacos, but, you know. I guess I could. I don't know. If you want, you can cut all this up. I'm going to do that later because time is a necessity right now and I don't need all of that. If you want your, I don't know if you can see the onions.
Yeah.
But if you want your onions to cook faster and get more brown, hit them with some salt, mix them up a bit, dry off your hands, dry hands for salt. Because salt draws out water and they'll cook a lot faster and get browner. Alright, let me put these in something. Oh, what? I got it.
Bless.
Anyway, bowl, colander, potatoes going in, using the same pan for the onions and the peppers and the tomatoes, which I have yet to cut. I just now realized. I'm doing this with the potatoes. Trying to keep most of that oil off of them. It's also easier to pick out the bay leaves later, but that way they stay crispy. But anyway, the first thing that's going to go in is absolutely a bit more oil. Because we don't want to burn our onions. Our pan's still pretty hot. You can tell when a pan and the oil is hot because oil is really thick at first when it's room temp, but as oil gets really hot, it starts to move a lot easier and gets a lot thinner.
We wash our pans, by the way.
We do wash our pans. But yeah. And if you really want to, you can do a little test piece of onion. Hear that sizzle? Good to go. Little saute. That way we get the fat on everything. Because if you just throw it in, it's only going to get on one side. And it's not going to cook evenly. You're going to burn some pieces, and that's not fun. Hit it with some pepper. We don't want our onions to get too brown, so we're going to put our bell pepper in now. Use whatever pepper you want or have. Peppers do hold a lot of water, so be aware whatever you're cooking might not get as brown if you put your peppers in too soon. Depends on what you want. Definitely wait on the garlic. If you put your garlic in too soon, it will super totally burn, like real quick. One, because garlic doesn't hold a lot of moisture, and two, because we cut our garlic so thin, it's going to burn in like a minute. So the garlic is really the last thing to go in. And if you're going to put any kind of spicy green, like a cilantro or a parsley or something in there, like a fresh herb, I would wait till the end on that as well, because it'll wilt really fast. And honestly, you can just usually put that on there fresh as you make the taco. But again, up to you. Our beans are over here going pretty hot. We're gonna go ahead, and we've waited quite a bit. I had these going before the show. Go ahead and put in our leftover beans. Mix everybody together. That's not where we keep the spoons. That's not it either. I don't know. I'm looking for this. Make sure you stir your beans every now and then, especially if you're going like a higher heat to really boil them down quicker. They might burn on the bottom, especially if you have a lot less water. This is quite a bit of water. Move them around just a bit. We'll probably drain most of that water here in a second. Give this another little shake. We're going to cut our tomatoes. So, again, when you're cutting things, don't cut your finger, I would know. But the other thing is you want to get things around the same size. So, there's a lot of different ways to do this. The best thing you can do for ease of use and safety is to make whatever you're cutting into a flat surface, like this. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You could cut it on the end, so it stands up like this. I like just to go down the middle, because then they're laying down flat and really easy to cut. And then I like to go roughly the same width if you can. Tomatoes are hard to cut. Their outer skin is really pliable and thick. And so sometimes they're kind of a pain in the butt to cut the same size. But that's close enough. And then we'll turn it. And we'll come back the other way probably twice. And be aware, you will spill a lot of tomato juice on your cutting board. So here we go again. Going this way. On a tomato, you definitely need to have this motion of coming back and forth, because that's what gets the knife into the tomato skin. You can't just go down on it, because it'll just splash it out everywhere. Got to get that first cut to really go in, and then you can go in. Yeah. Any big pieces you see, just go ahead and go through them. And we're about to go. I actually don't want a lot of this juice, so I might leave some of it on my cutting board, even though there's some flavor in there. Because we're about to go into a pan of hot oil. so now we have white onion. Any kind of pepper you want. Tomato.
The colors of Mexico.
It's the Mexican flag. Or the Italian flag. But anyway. And again, if you want a fresher, brighter taste, keep it out of the pan and just keep it fresh. I mean, just slice everything up, mix it together, maybe a dash of oil, salt, pepper, put it all together, and it'll be fine. But we're going for more savory, deeper flavors here for what we're trying to do. Give it a little stir, see where we're at. Yeah. So, where is it at? Where is it at?
What are you looking for?
I don't know. There it is. Found it. So, excuse me. Grab a bowl. This is hot, so be aware of that. But we're going to strain our beans through a strainer. You want to use a metal one. I've melted a plastic one before because this is boiling water. I'm going to throw this back in there so there's a lot less water. It's basically just the beans now. Save your bean juice. It tastes good. You can use it for sauces and other fun stuff. Put that back on the heat. You might not want to see how much butter we're going to put in here, but it's a lot.
I wonder that thing gets so sticky.
I'm going to make sure it gets incorporated in, mixed in very well. Probably should be using a wooden spoon so I don't scratch up my pan, but whatever. But yeah, another reason we want all this fat in here is because it's going to help fry it a bit, and we're about to put a lot of flavors in here. And remember, fat helps transport flavor across the entire dish. So, whatever you have, we're about to do some paprika, a bit of cumin, maybe a little extra salt and pepper. I don't know. I really like red pepper, so I might add like a dash of that. You can put garlic in here as well, in your beans. You can put them in both sides of the dish. It's whatever. I like garlic a lot. That's just me. But now that we have that going, we've turned our heat down just a little bit. Make sure this is still moving. You don't want to burn anything. Yeah, boom. Here's another quick thing. If you have a double burner like this, and your pan is only this big, but your burner is this big, please use your smaller burner.
Are you telling that to yourself?
Uses a lot less energy. Plus, I mean, it's the perfect size. That's all you need. But anyway, we're going to put some of our garlic in here. We're also going to turn the heat down because we don't want to burn our garlic, and this is almost done anyway. Put a little more in there. We're going to put a little bit to our beans.
I'll be right back.
Okay. We're going to save our green onions and our radishes for later. We're not going to put any heat on them. They're going to be kind of a garnish. Again, this is kind of a really savory, rich, fatty, buttery dish. We need something to cut through all that and give it some complexity. Plus, we're going to add cheese, so I mean, yeah. Let's see. Make sure we get our garlic. We're just going to go ahead and take this off the heat. Okay, so now, you can use oregano, you can use marjoram, really use what you have. Really classic stuff is a little bit, not too much, of cayenne pepper. I know our definitions of too much are probably different. Let's see. Definitely a lot of paprika. Paprika is nice and smoky, and it's honestly not spicy at all. Just a really good flavor. Let's see, where's my cumin? I've got cumin in here somewhere, I think. There it is. You'll see it labeled as cumin or cumin seed. But I mean, when you smell it, it's instantly like, oh, that smells like tacos. I mean, half of taco seasoning is just this stuff. And we'll keep it simple at that. Make sure we have plenty of fat in there to transport all those flavors around. Otherwise, you'll just get little clumps of spice, and that's not really fun.
Hi, Keith Pruitt.
Hey, Keith. And we are almost ready to go here. We are actually... I know this is really bad. We're going to add some more butter in there.
We want butter.
Paula Deen in here. And I've actually lost weight during quarantine using all this butter, so yeah, I don't know. But make sure it's mixed up nice and good with all those spices we just put in there. We'll go ahead and take it off the heat. We're going to leave this heat on, turn on the larger burner, because we need to put our cast iron right there. So, we've got onion, tomato, pepper, garlic in here. Our black bean mixture here. Again, we are doing vegetarian tacos. Put any meat you want in there. Just make sure it's cut into thin strips and maybe cut in half or at least ground, because big chunks of meat don't work well in a taco, because you want less filling in a taco than you think, because you need to be able to actually close the taco. But anyway, cast iron, as fun as it is, does actually take a little bit to heat up properly. So go ahead and wait on it. Again, we're just using regular flour tortillas. If you want to use something smaller, go for it. I actually prefer the smaller stuff. We're not going to the store because of it. If you want to use corn tortillas or blue corn tortillas, do it. There really is no wrong or right answer. A lot of my Mexican friends will tell me there is a right answer, but it's what you like to eat. So, taste different things, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then make what you like. You know, that's what cooking's all about. Anyway, that's still going to take about another minute or two, and our heat is pretty high right now. And when it gets up to heat, we're going to turn it down. Because cast iron, although it takes a long time to heat up, it holds heat really well. So yeah, we got that, we got a potato mixture over here. We're actually going to set up a little taco bar situation. So that's the beauty about tacos. Really, any food, you can put whatever you want in it. Some people disagree. That's okay. We've got our potatoes here. We've got our spinach here. Got a little bit of radish, pickled radish here. Smells good. But yeah, let's see. Everything else over there. Green onions here. Cheese. We should shred some cheese while we're waiting on that to heat up. Can you hand me the...
In the dishwasher.
In the dishwasher. I'll admit it. I forgot to unload the dishwasher today. I'll see it.
Oh.
Oh, that works. Whatever. Boom. You like cheddar? Put cheddar on it. You like mozzarella? Put mozzarella on it. You have some crumbly feta? Crumble some feta on there. Whatever. Be careful of your fingers. We are using manchego here if you're just now joining us. That should be enough for one of Ashton's tacos.
That's rude.
She does
I'm
like
vegetarian.
she likes a lot of cheese. But anyway. So, we have that, we have this, we have that. Let's go ahead and transport you boys. Tortillas. We'll go ahead and scrape this into a bowl. Just for ease of use. Hey, can you flip the record? I just now realized the music wasn't playing.
No.
We are going to use a nice pad of cork to protect from heat. We are bringing a hot pan over here of our black beans. Now, if you wanted to refry these, all you gotta do is put more fat down and mash them up and throw them in it and refry beans. We'll leave that in there to serve. If you're just now joining us, this is like a cilantro, lime, sour cream sauce I made on Cinco de Mayo. Kept in one of these. They cost $1. Great to store stuff in the fridge in and easy to distribute.
Come on.
Remember that this is hot. We have some ghost pepper sauce and some sour cream. We're just going to reuse this container, so less dishes. Right, am I right? Keep an eye on your cast iron, because now it is hot. So I've turned the heat to like way down low since it holds heat really well. Pop in your sour cream, give it a little mix, because some of those milk solids have popped out. That's okay, milk does that. I'm not going to use too much, so just do a little dollop.
What are you doing?
Give your hot sauce a shake, because it's mostly vinegar and will separate. A little squirt, and then mix.
Scout, you're not supposed to be in the kitchen. Everyone say hi to Scout.
Hello, Scout. You're still on my poopy list.
Our kitchen floors are nasty. She's helping clean them.
Well, okay.
She's earning her keep.
She's earning her keep. Yeah, just mix to combine. If you have any, like a little bit of lime or orange, maybe give a squirt of that in there. Any sort of fruity acid is always nice.
Let's see with my popcorn thing.
Fruity acid? Yeah. Alright, so come back over here real quick. For the tortillas. These tortillas are not incredible. We all know that. But do yourself a favor. Throw some butter in there. Maybe use a butter knife.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. And again, remember, it holds heat really well, so heat's basically off right now. But make sure you have plenty of butter.
Why don't you just use this spoon that's right here?
Because I didn't see it.
Water on it.
But anyway, make sure you spread it around everywhere. We have these nice little knit pan holders that Ashton made. They're macrame or whatever. Slap her on there. Spin it around.
They're crochet.
Flip it over, because you want to get the butter everywhere. And then don't touch it for like a good little bit. I know that was a really precise time, a good little bit, but you know, whatever. If you want your cheese to be melty, get your toaster oven. Your toaster oven going. Scout, no. Get your toaster oven going, because you can slide a taco in there real quick and it'll melt that cheese. Or just honestly throw it in the microwave if you want your cheese to be melted.
Scout Finch.
But yeah, so we see these bubbles happening. Bubbles is good. Bubbles means flip. So you get those little brown spots. Bubbles is good. And honestly, you can have an oven going or something. We can stack them, throw them in the oven, they stay warm. And yeah, that's how tortillas work. It's a lot better than a cold tortilla. Plus there's extra butter on it. What's wrong with that? If you're...
Turn off that burner.
Oh hey, turn off this burner. That's important. But anyway, a little peek. That'll do. So there's one tortilla. Yeah, we're using a spoon. Whatever. I know. But anyway, now that we have all of this stuff over here, maybe add a little extra butter, because your tortilla took up a lot of butter. Oh, hello. Or as my people say, hola. Slap her down. Turn the heat down more, any of you. Let's go over here real quick. So, what I said earlier about not overfilling a tortilla, I was very, very serious about that. I'm going to use like this much black bean. Like not that much. And this is a larger-ish tortilla. Oh Lord, if you find a hair, take it out. We're gonna grab some of our pico. That's not really pico because it's cooked. I want to do some cheese, and it's really all up to you what you want to do. I'm actually gonna hit it with my cilantro lime sauce. Give it a little shake. Give it a little fancy swirl. Let's see. I'm actually really feeling sriracha because, I mean, y'all know me. I like it the hot stuff. Give it a shake. Same thing. And then maybe a little bit of green onion. And boom! There's your taco. I don't know if they can see this. Can they see this?
Yeah.
Sure.
Bring it this way.
Yeah. Bleh. Bleh. There's your taco.
And we're done.
And that's Cooking with Kenny. Tacos. Yeah, it's good stuff. Y'all have a good late Cinco de Mayo and have a good week. Stay safe.
Happy Mother's Day to all
and happy
mothers.
Mother's Day.